Okay, welcome back, everybody, to the Canadian Spartan Ambassador Podcast. We've got one familiar face on here with us tonight, but we've got someone new, and this is Carey. And these are two of our Canadian Trifecta Record holders in two different ways, and we're going to talk a lot about that tonight. You guys may recognize Graeme, who was on here a few episodes ago. He was on the hunt for getting the most trifectas in 1 year, which he claims that title this past weekend at Blue Mountain. And then we've got Carey on here with us, who is a maybe familiar face if you've seen him in the Spartan community, but new to the podcast. And he this weekend has claimed the official title of most lifetime trifectas in Canada. So we're very excited to have these two record holders online with us tonight. And first off, we'd like you guys to get to know Carey a little bit first. So Carey, welcome to our podcast. Why don't we start by telling us a little bit about, how long you've been with Spartan and what really inspired you to start Spartan racing in the first place?
Well, hi, my name is Carey. I've been racing since 2016. I was just basically looking to get back into fitness. So I had asked a friend, she's running trifectas for a while. And I just said, hey, do you think I can do a Spartan race? She goes, well, if I can do it, you can probably do it. So it was just, after that first race, it was kind of like a hook. You go out and do it and you're like, oh, that was so fun. Swinging on monkey bars, like playing like a kid. The running part, well, that's just extra, right?
So true. And who's actually running on those courses that we get in Canada anyways?
Well, this past weekend at Blue, there was no running because it was too muddy to do anything other than fly. But anyways, that's awesome. You know what? It's really interesting. I feel like a lot of us jumped into Spartan because of some crazy friend that convinced us to in the first place. So situation normal, and then you drink the Kool-Aid and then you're hooked. But beyond your first race, what inspired you to really chase the record of most lifetime trifectas for Canada?
Well, I didn't even realize I was going for the record until I was hanging out with Graeme one time in the hotel, and he's like, "You realize like you're almost at having the most for Canada?" And I was like, "What?" I'm like, "Oh, okay, that's kind of cool." Well, I am going for this number, and I was going for the 25 because I'm heading to Greece this year, and they give awards for your lifetime trifectas. So.
Yeah, tell us about that. In Greece, if you go there, how many trifectas? There's a few different ceremonies, but one is really cool when you get 13 trifectas, and then they also reward you for lifetime trifectas as well.
Yeah, so in Greece, they'll have two different ceremonies. One will be for the people that have reached 13 trifectas in a year or more. So that'll be Graeme and a whole bunch of the guys that we know. I won't be on that podium, but that's just money dollars talk, right? So, but then there's also another award for different lifetime trifectas. And it was just started to look at what numbers I was getting close to. And I was just like, well, I got to go for 25 because that sounds like a good number.
I like that logic. Just a nice round number, right? Why not?
Well, that's better than 20.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you're both headed to Greece. When is that? That's coming up pretty soon, yeah?
Next weekend.
Next weekend. Yes, that's exciting. So, Graeme, we'll flip it over to you. Welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you.
Carey kind of spilled the beans. You're going to be getting recognized in Greece. So we did talk about what title you were chasing in our last episode, but tell us a little bit about what you've achieved this season and why you're going to be recognized in Greece next weekend.
So what I went for this year is to set a new Canadian record for number of trifectas in 1 year. So in the past, when I did my research, the most I found was 15 done in 1 year. So I had to do at least 16 trifectas. So as was posted, I managed to accomplish that last weekend in Blue Mountain, which was an awesome experience. I was so happy to get that done in Canada. That was really neat. That it
and
just worked out.
The two of you got those records on the same weekend. So that was really neat. That's why we took that picture, because it was like, first of all, both of these guys are Canadian Spartan ambassadors, number one. Number two, they both have unbreakable passes. I think we've talked about those a little bit, but they're very unlimited passes. And number three, they did it in our last season ender for Canada. So that was like really special, I think.
Yeah, it was really cool that it all worked out that way, especially for the fact that Carey and I, we broke those two records on the same weekend. Like, that was not planned. That was just dumb luck.
And
Very
you
good
guys really earned those records this past weekend. So before we dive into a little bit more about these records, let's just kind of like deload Blue Mountain for a minute here, because that was just a muddy friggin' mess. So yeah, take it away. Graeme, why don't you start? Tell us about Blue Mountain.
I told Nick, and I thought about, I would have rather have done Mont Tremblant again than doing that. That Blue Mountain was just, it was cold. It was definitely by far the most. I've done 16 trifectas this year, right? That is definitely up there, maybe top one, but definitely in the top three of just most difficult and taxing and just mental grit of like, okay, keep on going, keep on going. Like Sunday morning, I did not want to get out of bed. I'm like, oh, it's even colder today.
It was cold. Okay, so for those of you who weren't there, it was freezing. Like, it was so cold. Saturday was torrential downpour, like pretty much the entire day. Like, and the course itself, like, there was actually a lot of flat opportunities at this course, which was kind of unusual for Blue Mountain, but you couldn't really run them because it was just so slippery and wet. And yeah, like, Carey, tell us about the beast a little bit for you. What was your experience out there?
Yeah, I had a lot of slipping, sliding, it was trying to stay on your feet was fun. Every time you tried to run, it was like 2 steps forward, 1 step back type stuff.
Yeah, it was really, really tough to maintain speed in the downhills. I mean, a lot of like elites will send it on the downhills, but you kind of couldn't. Like, you were taking a really risky chance there if you were going to send it on those downhills. And Jill, you like to send it, so
I'm a sender.
you?
I sent it on the first in the first race because I was one of the first people on the course. So it had a 50-50 for sending it. Day 2, there was a 0 sending possibility. So and yeah. I take a little bit more risks, I think. So I think most people weren't sending it.
No, there was, I'll be honest, there was some injuries, and it was just elements. Like, some people just weren't considering Mother Nature this weekend on the risks they were taking, and that's to each individual's athletic decision. So anyways, Blue Mountain was a muddy mess, so you guys really earned those records this past weekend. So we actually did a post about this on the Spartan Canada Community page, and there was a lot of questions that came up on that. So we just kind of figured, why don't we just spend the next few minutes while we've got both you guys here and answer those questions that the community is so eager to know. So the first one is going to go to Graeme, and somebody asked, how does one go about running 16 trifectas in 1 year, and where did you earn them? So if you could just give us a long story short on maybe some of the top places you visited this year.
And we should throw a caveat in there, Graeme. Where are you right now, Graeme? And when are you racing? I don't even know if Amber knows this.
I start a race in 1 hour and 45 minutes from now, and right now I'm in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. So I'm about 12 hours ahead of you. It may be 6 p.m. for you, but it is 6 a.m. for me. I just got out of bed and that's why I'm in my race gear, because I'm going for a trifecta this coming weekend.
Now.
That's epic.
Right
so
now, yeah, in 1 hour and 45 minutes, I'll be on course running.
Awesome. Okay, so we'll get right to it then. So where did you travel this year? How did you go about 16 trifectas?
Yeah, so definitely had to travel, had to do international. The goal was to do 3 in Canada, but then we had with the BC and Kelowna forest fires, so I only did 2 trifectas in Canada. I did, I think, 8 in the US, and then the other 6 were international, where I went to Hungary, Czech Republic, England, Italy twice, and France. And that's the only way. It's the only way to get 16, because there's just not that quantity in North America. I had to throw in some extra ones because throughout this past year, my wife was pregnant, and she's still been supporting me. And one of my race weekends was on her due date, so I had to reschedule, and that's why I ended up going to Czech Republic in June to ensure I was there for the birth of my daughter.
Good idea.
Yeah, and I'm quite happy I was there. It's been awesome so far, and I'm honestly, it's as much as I'm enjoying the year, I'm looking forward to being done the year so I can spend time with her.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, so a lot of traveling and then a lot of planning. and a lot of reactive planning. So I had twice where flights got canceled. So like last minute, and one of them was I just got on my email randomly at noon. My flight was at 7 p.m. And they're like, "Oh, flight's canceled. We can't rebook you. Call us and we'll do what we can." I'm like, ah. So phone calls, rebook. It was just right, because if I missed one, it threw a wrench and everything, right? And then it's hard to make up. Like when I went to Big Bear in California, I did the Beast. I was at kilometer 8 of 10 on the Super, and we had lightning, and the course got shut down and it didn't reopen. So I didn't get my Super. I didn't do my sprint. So I flew all the way to Cali and only did a Beast, and didn't get my Trifecta. So later in the year, I went to Red Deer, where I saw some of you there, so I could get my Super sprint to stay on track. So a lot of planning, a lot of organization, but also a lot of last minute reactive, like, okay, this didn't work, now I gotta go do this. And oh, this got canceled, I gotta go do that. So yeah,
That's awesome.
It's been a busy year.
So that's interesting, like that you point that out too, because for those of you who don't know, is there's different ways you can earn a trifecta. So you can earn it by just simply doing, well, not simply, but by doing all 3 distances, the Beast, the Super, and the Sprint in a calendar year, and that would count as a trifecta. But you can also do all 3 races over the span of 2 days in a trifecta weekend. So there are different ways you can add up your trifectas depending on what's, accessible and available to you. So another question that's come in is, what was the favorite venue? So I'm going to flip this over to Carey, because I'm sure Carey's done trifectas not only in Canada, because to get 25, you would have had to travel as well. So tell us a little bit about places you've been, and what's your favorite one, Carey?
Well, most of my traveling for my lifetime has been through Canada and just the US. I'm kind of biased to the west side, so I would actually say Kimberley is probably one of like the best venues I've been on. I've done a lot of skiing there, so it's kind of cool to see the opposite side and actually run up the mountain instead of riding a chairlift. So, but there's been some different experiences with Spartan Canada throughout the years.
And how many are you getting this year? What is your, I know you're getting 25 lifetime, but how many are you completing this year?
I'll get my ×8 when Greece next weekend.
Nice.
So, and then I might go see Graeme in a couple more spots just so he doesn't catch me for December.
What is Graeme? What are Graeme's lifetimes then?
I need
He's
to
not far
apologize.
behind.
So my original goal for this year was to do 20. And then some of my friends I've met throughout the year, they're like, you should do 23, right? If you do 23, you'll have 23 trifectas in 2023. And 23 was the first big record that was set by Hartley back in 2017, like the big world record. So like you'll match him. You should really do that. I'm like, that's kind of cool.
Oh, this is called Spartan math.
If I do my 23, yeah. If I do my 23, I steal Carey's glory.
Oh. So then, Carey, you're just going to have to add another one. I mean, you've got the unbreakable pass, you've got the hair.
Yeah, I'm about a Beast and one whole trifecta away of just staying, basically, if he goes for 23, to stay tied with him. So
I feel like this is going to have to happen.
You can do it, Carey.
And these two you guys are friends, obviously, from before this experience, and it's awesome to see them at races. I know for me, a little story that I have from Sunday, I felt really terrible, like just awful. Like I'd been almost like I'd partied all night and been drinking, but I had been doing nothing all night. I just had done the Beast at Blue Mountain, and I lined up with these guys and caught them out of the corner of my eye and was like, I don't want to do this. And then I saw them and walked over, got giant hugs, and I was like, okay, I'm good now. So you don't know who you're inspiring or who you're going to help when you're out there and just doing 25 trifectas and you see these guys and you're just ready to go again. And then that day turned out to be amazing. So I had such a great day on Sunday. So
yeah, the weather in the afternoon for the sprint was like bang on. But
so
okay,
good.
I'm gonna keep this flowing. So I'm just scrolling through, guys, finding those questions. Tell us a little bit about the shields that are given away in Greece. Who wants to answer this one? I believe the lucky number is 13 to earn yourself a shield, but correct me if I'm wrong. one of you to volunteer to take that one away.
So it is 13. I'll let Carey take it because I talked a lot already. He knows just as much as I do.
Oh, thanks, Graeme. So as much as I know it's yes, once you get 13 in 1 year, they pull everybody up on the stage that has completed that, and then you have to actually be at Greece to get it. So even if you do 13, you stay home, you ain't getting nothing. They not mailing it out. It's the same with the lifetime awards. If you're not present, you don't get nothing.
And are you guys, so you'll be getting a lifetime, you'll be getting the 13. Have you done this before? Have you been to Greece before, either of you?
First time.
That's awesome. And I know we've got some other Canadians. Give a little shout out to Connor. I know he's on his way there. I've been watching his posts. So that'll be great. Do you know of any other Canadians that are going? I think Juan Carlos is the captain of that. So basically you're there to do a trifecta. And how does it work? Do you get points for all 3 races to find out who wins? Or, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so you do. So this is a little bit different than most trifectas we see. So we actually do the sprint on Friday, super on Saturday, and beast on Sunday. So it's actually all split up. It's not all in one day. And they go from easiest to hardest, which will be a little bit of a challenge. I think I've only done that once this past year when I was in Czech. So a little bit of different format. And yes, so depending on how quickly you do and where you finish, you get points per that. So if you're first, you get your 1,000 points. If you're second, you get 900 points, or however the breakdown is. I do know of 2 others are going to be here. I know Ryan Atkins and Lindsay Sterling. They're actually coming. They're competing in the Elite Series.
Lindsay Webster.
So yeah, sorry, Lindsay Sterling. That's a
violinist.
Lindsay Webster and Ryan Atkins. They're both going to be here this weekend or next weekend competing.
Oh, that's awesome. We generally have
awesome.
Canadians there, so it'll be great to see the pictures from that. I hope you guys post that on the Spartan Canada pages as well, so we can all live in those journeys with you.
I'm looking forward to the parade, the Parade of Nations that happens on Thursday night, I believe it is. That should be a fun one. Last I looked, there's something like 40 or 50 different nations that are coming to Greece to participate in the World Trifecta Championships. Maybe they're not all competing, but they're there participating, which is amazing, right? 50 countries.
That's amazing. Do you know if this is going to be live streamed at all?
I know they did it a couple years ago, and they actually, and so the crazy thing about the live stream that I saw is they have pacers. So they have like Ryan Atkins, who's running. I mean, he's doing the beast in 2.5 hours, and someone is just there running with him as well, filming.
How?
Right? Which is, I know, right? You think about that, like that's it takes a lot of fitness level to do a beast in 2.5 hours, and then here's a guy with a camera, just pulling him along. But for this year, I don't know. I haven't seen anything yet. I haven't looked, honestly, so I don't know.
Okay, well, if we find anything, we will post it into this podcast episode in the comments if we find anything before they take off. So there are just like a few questions, kind of just like generally asking, like, how do you train for a trifecta weekend? So let's let Carey take this one away. Do you train more obstacles? Do you train lots of running, hills? What would be your top tip for preparing for a trifecta weekend? Carey, go first.
Well, it's probably bad asking me because this year I've been doing no training, but just racing so much that is your training. But normally, yeah, just normal like working out, running, just go for a run. I have a lot of community here in Calgary that I actually do a lot of different stuff with. If you actually see my front door, there's a tire sitting on the front door. So if anybody wants to come flip it, it's there. Just got to pull it off the doorstep and go for a flip.
That's awesome. I got to see that one too.
That's awesome. Graeme, do you have any like top tip for anybody preparing for a trifecta weekend specifically?
So a trifecta weekend, normally when I would do my training, so I'm the same boat as Carey. Like this year, it was my races. Like I've been going practically every weekend, if not every other weekend. So the races have been my training. But when I first did my weekend trifecta, I want to make sure I did a lot of cardio. So I want to at least run 15 kilometers comfortably. And I want to be able to do a 10K in under an hour, right? So if I could do those two, that was my comfort level for doing the 21K and get the trail running in there, get on some mountains. You don't have to run up the mountain, but you need to get your legs accustomed. I've seen too many people, I tell them, like, you got to hit a hill, go hit a hill. And they don't, and they're cramping, they're hurting, it's a different muscle from running on the ground to just hiking up a nice steep slope for several hours on and off.
And then add some mud in there, and you've got a recipe for like burnt out legs for sure.
And then for that's for the cardio, right? Do the running, get the mountains in, and then for the obstacles, for me, it's that grip strength, right? So you have to be able to hold your body weight and then find a good playground, work on some monkey bars, right? And do what you can. If you can find a gym with a rope climb is not upper body. Rope climb is technique. Rope climb is all the legs. So if you can learn the techniques to obstacles, it makes it that much easier, saves you on the penalty loops or the burpees, and you get things done.
Yeah, that's so true. Okay, you know what, guys? I know Graeme has to get to a race, so let's just close it off, because completing a trifecta weekend is not only physically exhausting, mentally, it's super, super tough. So I guess I'm just curious, what would you tell somebody going in for their first time? Because, you know, we all wake up from the beast really questioning our life decisions as to whether we're going to go back out there for the super and the sprint that day. So what would be your best piece of advice? And does it get easier? Does it get easier to push through those weekends? Graeme, we'll let you start, and then Carey, you can finish us off tonight.
So it does, I can tell you 100% it gets easier. My stepson came with me to Blue Mountain last weekend. He did it not only his first Spartan race, but he actually did the full weekend. He's 22, he's a firefighter, he's fit, he can do it. And I talked to him yesterday. He's like, my legs still hurt. How are you doing this again? I'm like, I've just gotten used to it, right? I've gotten used to that pace and that repetitiveness, that my recovery has shortened and shortened and shortened. So I'm quicker off to get ready and do the next race. If you're prepping for it, okay, this is mindset. Doing a trifecta weekend, once you get the beast done, right, and the beast is going to be your hard one. The beast is going to be that biggest challenge. Once you're done that, the next two, the 10K and the 5K it's not easy, but it's such a less distance. And every time you do the next race, you're removing so many more difficult obstacles and difficult climbs. Blue Mountain was great. So Beast, we went up and down 5 times. The Super, we only went up and down twice. The Sprint, we only went up and down once, right? So that 5-2 was a huge jump. And if you can get through, once you do the Beast, the next two is stick it to the ground, be committed to it, have that grit of like, no, I got this, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to get that weekend medal. And I really hope, there's a woman I saw on the Super, and I don't remember her name. She said she was following me on Facebook, and I should have told her out. I thought about after to message me. We were at the Stairway to Sparta on the Super, and she's like, I don't know, like I'm really feeling tired and feeling it, and like I pushed as hard as I could. I really tried to give her that motivation to like, you can do it. It's only 5 kilometers more. So if you are watching this, please like let me know that you got that weekend done, because I really hope that I gave her enough inspiration to carry on and finish the goal that she set up for herself.
Yeah, that's a nice story. I like that. Make sure you comment if that's you.
All right, Carey, we're going to turn it over to you. What would you tell someone, you know, what to prepare for mentally and how to push through a trifecta weekend? Your best piece of advice.
I would say definitely try to make sure that you know your legs can already handle for how long you're going to be out there. If you think it's going to take you 8 hours, make sure you get outside and hike for 8 hours. Like being out here in the West for my training extra that I probably didn't include is that I'm hiking whenever I'm not running. So, and we don't have little hills here, right? It's all mountains. Everything's so close to me that it's just get out there, It's like Graeme said, if you don't have that elevation training for the hills, especially if you're running Spartan Canada races, you're gonna die. Like you're gonna get up that first hill and be like, I'm done. But sorry, you still got 4 more to go, because that's the way we do it up here in Canada.
And by the way, there's snow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So-
I love hearing your stories, guys. It's so inspiring. And some of the comments, just to leave you guys on a high note, like there was a lot of praise for you guys, like congratulations to you both. That's insane. So impressive. Well deserved. Somebody said they saw you on the course during the sprint. You were positive and helpful and all nice to be around. So if you see these guys on course, remember they're Spartan Canada ambassadors. They know lots about the brand and lots about what we're doing, and they are overall nice guys. And if you don't think you can do it in the morning, they'll give you a hug too.
So true. So you know what, guys? Thank you for just being such positive influences within the Spartan Canada community. And to our listeners, guys, if you have a great story or a moment on the hill where you bumped into one of these two guys, please share them in the comments below or on that thread in our Spartan Canada Community Facebook post. We would love to hear about it, guys. Thank you so much, and good luck. Next weekend, we know you're going to make Canada proud.
Thank you.